I'm back. We had a power outage. It
Yeah.
was short-lived, but long-lived enough to kill the live stream.
Wow.
So that's what happened before when I was talking and all of a sudden I just disappeared. Well, it's because there was a power outage. And we need power if the internet's going to work. Because you got to plug in the modem. So we had a power outage. I waited a few minutes and I said, oh, fuck it, I'll just start up the generator. I did. I got the internet plugged back in and the TV plugged back in. And then the power came back on. So, anywho, that's what's going on with me. This video is titled DJ Arendee's Odd Metaphysics because I watched the video that Winston's mom shared in the last live stream, which is called Intro 12/8/2023. I even pulled up the transcript. It's only 2 minutes and 40-some seconds long, so it's not a specific thing. And he starts with a thesis, a clear thesis, which I appreciate somebody starting with a clear thesis. And he does a good job of not burying the lead. He says, okay, long story short, everyone needs to pray for God to introduce them to the angel of death, and they need to ask the angel of death for permission to enter Death 41. That's his thesis, okay? So I get the part, pray for God to do something. Like, okay, pray to God, and please introduce me to the angel of death. And then when I'm introduced to the angel of death, I'm going to ask that angel for permission to enter Death 41. The weird thing about this instruction is it's like do I not need any explanation as to what Death 41 is in order to be convinced to ask the angel of death about it? Maybe I don't need any explanation. Maybe the explanation will be given by the angel of death, but I mean, like, there's no reason to think that to believe what he's saying is good advice because he doesn't explain why it is good advice at all. He does say,
Hi, Mr. Man.
and he says, why would I talk to the Grim Reaper? Too slow, too slow. Do you even know what religion is? Okay, it goes like this: belief, religion, God, Jesus, Satan, angel of death. Belief, religion, God, Jesus, Satan, angel of death. Belief, religion, God, Jesus, Satan, angel of death. So why does it go? Why is Satan above Jesus? Or is it not that? Is it not directional like that? It's not clear if it's directional. So if you can get to the angel of death, and we're talking, if you can get that far, so come back after you understand that much. Hear God, listen, believe, endure for Christ. Just keep telling God that you are willing to suffer until you understand. Until you understand what, though? And he's saying, don't even bother engaging me about this subject until you can at least get to the point where you're talking to the angel of death. Then we can have a conversation. Until then, you just need to pray God and listen to God and just keep telling God you're willing to suffer until you understand. But it's not clear what it is you're supposed to understand here. Just going, and you're just going to keep listening, and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff. Just tell God that you're going to keep listening and suffering until you understand. That's all you got to do. And what happens is, I'll explain to you, I'll tell you this much, I'll give you some hope. God will take your emotions and just, it hurts, it sucks, and you get frustrated, you get really mad and confused, and that's what God does, because he is using you and he pays you in what is essentially a currency called plages, which is basically the scale upon which your soul is weighed after you die. Good luck, everyone. Get to death 41. Death 40. Get to death 40. If you can get to death 40, you've achieved a fetal confidence where you can actually speak to an archangel in heaven at all. So that's basically the entire transcript of his video there that I watched. And I mean, one can take away from it the following thing. Namely that he firmly believes he's in the process of some profound spiritual journey, and that it's replicatable. That if others do as he indicates, then they too will agree with him in full about what he's saying, because their experience presumably will validate that. The problem is, ultimately, I would hope we kind of all agree that unless this gentleman is expressing some reason why we should prioritize his understanding of metaphysics over others, then he's just telling us what to do without anticipating that the other person's going to have their own thought processes involved. Like, why should I be convinced by anything he says there? Because he just positions it as the only reason we can't have a conversation right now is that about this is because you haven't experienced enough of the stuff to already be where I am and understand so clearly, and I can't explain it to you because I'm where I am and you're so far behind. Well, presumably we're not all moving along a same road in a race of some sort, right? And presumably a person's relationship with God is informative to them in ways specific to them. I can assure you that no matter how much I pray to God, well, I can't assure you, but I feel very confident that no matter how much I tried to follow those instructions and prayed to God, I would never have any increased clarity about Death 40, Death 41, the Grim Reaper, Satan, Plagius, or anything else. I mean, I have my understanding of sin, namely violation of negative moral prohibitions, and I've got my understanding of positive moral indications being indeterminate necessarily. I've got my understanding of faith as a behavior, and that its role is to empower you to utilize magical thinking frames where no rational frame can provide meaning. But see, those are all things that anybody could understand, the words that I'm saying. I'm not trying to hide the truth that I purport to have. Or maybe he's not trying to hide it, but at least he's saying, I can't help you to better access this, but I do feel comfortable telling you in certain terms that this is the thing you must access. To me, that's distressing a little bit, you know? Like, we all have a responsibility. If we feel like, you know, hey, I'm super correct about this and it's super important, well, we have a responsibility to then try to answer questions about it, be clear about what we're saying, etc., you know? Which brings up the question of mental health. Rachel indicated as she watched him that she didn't note in him qualities that suggest he's manic. So that's one thought on the subject. There's other kinds of crazy besides manic, of course. But I'm always a little unsure about the idea of listening to God and hearing what he has to say to you, except insofar as that behavior is sort of taking away the coverings you have over stuff you already know yourself. Like, God doesn't share his omniscience, right? He doesn't say, you know what? I'm going to let you, Joe, over here, know who's going to win the Super Bowl by telling you. I'll whisper it into your ear. Joe, this is God. The San Francisco 49ers will win the Super Bowl. So, in that regard, I think we could all agree that God doesn't tell people, individuals, what's going to happen. In a similar sense, I don't think he provides knowledge about things that humans aren't normally can have access to. Like, God doesn't tell some people but not others secrets about heaven and the angels of death, right? Or whatever you want to call them. That's just a silly idea. The slabs may or may not favor you, but they don't speak except through action and happenings, coincidence, and stuff like that. Jesus forgives. He didn't need to say anything to forgive, right? If any of the triumvirate of deities were to be the one to speak, presumably it would be God. After all, he claims responsibility anyway for the 10 Commandments. So, still, the point of it is, even if God were to speak, he speaks in ways that everybody can hear, not in ways that just one guy can hear. If you think you're the one guy who can hear God, while everybody else is stuck in spiritual infancy, that seems to me to link very strongly to a mental health issue. But I don't know, I don't want to pathologize the guy. I was just curious enough when Winston's mom linked to that video to actually go and watch the full 3 minutes of it or so. I don't know what to think. It seems pretty clear to me that he's suffering because in that transcript it said, pray to God, tell him, I will endure as much suffering as I need to until I understand. Well, one only says that if one is enduring some amount of suffering, I'd imagine. One doesn't say, you're taking it too easy on me, God. I'd like you to make me suffer some more so I can understand better. Usually, people aren't going to say that. So presumably the suffering is something that, from his perspective, links to a failure to understand something God wants him to know, perhaps. But that from my perspective, it would seem to be trying to find meaning and purpose in your suffering, because the alternative is to just suffer meaninglessly, you know?
Trouble?
I went to Mom. We had a power outage, is what happened. I don't know if you heard. I announced this earlier, but we had a power outage. So the live stream died because the internet died. But it was a short power outage. It probably would have been well served to just wait it out, frankly. Because it was only out for like 30 minutes. But back on now. You know, it's like we had like maybe 15, 20 minutes of generator power. I started it up, plugged in the thing, unrolled the orange cables, plugged them all the way into here, got the internet going, got the TV going, sat down and started showing Rachel how Ultimate Tab has the chords for a number of Johnny songs. And then that comes on the power. So I was like, why do I even bother? Why do I even bother? The answer is nobody's quite sure. So obviously, I feel compassion for that guy more than anything else. I don't feel. I'm not here to tease him or shit on him or anything. But I'm also not quite sure what to make of it. You know, like it's, in my opinion, indicative of an NI run amok kind of a problem, right? I mean, I can say for sure what's wrong with his presentation, namely that the only currency it attempts to spend is the viewer's belief in his own certainty in what he's saying. There's no reason provided why we should listen to him. Now, maybe that's the case in every sermon, right? Like, it would be worthwhile for me to do a Christian sermon because I believe as well people should listen to me about Christianity, just like EJ Arendee does, or DJ Arendee. But the difference is I can provide, I think it's my duty to provide reasons as to why I'm worth listening to on the subject. Maybe I will start becoming a Christian preacher. Who knows? Start a separate channel doing sermons. You know, you could write sermons on various topics. Like, you could write a sermon on each of the 7 deadly sins. That'd be kind of fun. Envy, greed, sloth, lust, gluttony. What else is there? Sloth, envy, wrath. Wrath, sloth, envy, lust, greed, gluttony. and there's one more, right? Wrath, sloth, greed, lust, gluttony, envy. What's number 7? Anybody remember the 7th wonder of the world? I can't remember number 7. Blitzen. Blitzen. Thank you, New Groove. You get a wonder point for providing me the... Oh my God, it's Wednesday. That counts as 2 wonder points, New Groove. Wonder point values are doubled on Wednesdays. Nobody can remember the 7th deadly sin, huh? Saddlebacking? Pride, greed, wrath. Pride. That's the 7th one. Pride. Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. So, like that, to me, that DJ Arendee video smacks of pride of a sinful sort. Sinful pride is pride that feels no need to defend itself. Like, okay, I'm not unwilling to listen to what you have to say about God and Christ and that sort of thing, but don't just give me commands as to what to do and think that's going to be a good way to preach the gospel, right? Or evangelize. He might say he's not trying to evangelize. He's just sharing the truth. And that maybe he's not sure if God wants him to evangelize or not. He's listening. And he's doing the best he can to understand God's will. Maybe he'd say something like that, you know. Who knows? Personally, I'm a fan of wrath. You know, it's the underlying principle behind don't fuck with Eric. But I'm not actually very wrathful at all. Yeah, really, they should say spite instead of wrath. Wrath implies an angry response to a wrongdoing, whereas spite is just trying to do harm because of your maliciousness, you know. You might understand it as wrath. In other words, you might feel as though the person deserves it or whatever, but if it's genuine wrath, there's a legitimate antecedent to it. So, like, that would be a good topic for a Christian sermon I could make that would be informative in ways that people are not normally informed about Christianity. I could explain that the best ways to phrase these things, the best way to deal with the 7 deadly sins is to deal with it as follows. Pride without accountability. Greed at the expense of others. Spite. Envy. Gluttony should include lust and sloth. Because lust and sloth are both forms of gluttony. You need to be gluttonous towards food, about sex, about just couch potatoing. Those are all forms of gluttony. Whereas pride, greed, wrath, and envy are all actually distinct things. But they need to be explained better. Yeah, well, I've heard that before, New Groove. That was 7 kids ago. You kept telling me, don't worry, I'm on the pill. I'm not pregnant. I say, you sure are putting on a belly. You say, I'm not pregnant. I promise. And then, oops, my water broke. Again? I don't believe you this time. Fool me 6 times, 7 times, shame on you. Fool me 8 times, shame on me. So, I don't know if I must have done this after I finished live streaming, I guess. So, I figured out how to play 100,000 million years ago and wrote it down. It's the first time I've added a song to the set list in a long time. Feel pretty good about that. Oh, you're on the chill pill? Okay. Well, I stopped taking my birth control pills a while back because I said, hey, these hormones are making me kooky. And they were making me kooky. So now I'm going to, real quick, play the new song on the set list, 100,000 million years ago. Make it 75%. View full screen. There we go. "'Twas 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody at the show. Place the slabs below and let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue and tears gnashing through. Holy slabs come to view. Unchangingly true, eternally new. When the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways. Take a chance, once quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork, it's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force. Enemy ground, enemy ground. Then it repeats. Pretty good, huh? I see why I had trouble figuring it out, because like this part that I kept getting stuck on. It does interesting things. I'm surprised at what good songwriting it is. You know, the first section is just G minor F, back and forth, simple enough. But then, when the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways, take a chance now. Once quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork, it's not easy stopping short, too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force. Enemy ground, enemy ground. That's got a lot of changes in it. E flat, B flat, F, C minor, G minor, B flat, F, E flat, B flat, F, C minor, G minor, B flat, A, D. But it doesn't sound like it's got a lot of changes in it. It sounds like a totally intuitive melody line. So that's when you know you got something good. I had trouble figuring it out because it's tricky. It doesn't sound like it should be tricky, right? It's like you'd think it would just have like 3 chords based on listening to the melody, but it's actually tricky. There's tricky things. Because I'm a tricky guy. So, yeah, Rusmus, I got a song that I'd already written before, but I had never written down or had lost the paper on which I've written it or whatever. I figured it out again. Whatever happened to CJ O'Connell? I don't know. I guess he's just busy with life. Just got tired of YouTubing or whatever. He seemed to have a lot of trouble with copyright stuff because what he wanted to do a lot of times on his channel was watch things, you know? He's a receiving type, so it makes sense. Christians are black and white with us or evil and should be doomed to hell. Christians are black and white with us or black and white. Either with us or evil and doomed to hell. Yeah, that's the worst kind of Christian. Is the one who thinks that if you're not Christian enough, their attention should be on how you're not Christian enough or the right kind of Christian or whatever. I would like to think that I'm not doing that to DJ Arendee. I'm not saying he's doing Christianity wrong. I'm saying he's doing a poor job of convincing me of anything, since he just expects me to follow his instructions without even explaining what good's going to come out of it if I do. No, I don't think so. I don't expect he will. He seems pretty selective in his engagements. Like, I noticed he had comments turned off on his video. I just find it a curious subject because my original understanding of what happened with him was that YouTube made him crazy. And I remember thinking, like, I guess certain types are susceptible to shit going to their head more than others. But I now understand it as something much more nuanced than that. I'm not sure if it's a mental health thing or if he's perfectly sane, but he's just, as somebody else said earlier, having an existential crisis of some sort. I'm sure he'd probably articulate it as, I'm fighting the good fight as hard as I can to be God's friend, you know. But that's what makes it difficult to draw a lot of conclusions about what's going on with him. But it's a lot easier to talk about what's going on with his metaphysics, namely that he's got this idea in mind that to be prepared for heaven, you need to pray to God to convince him to introduce you to the Grim Reaper. And then once he introduces you to the Grim Reaper, then you should ask the Grim Reaper about Death 41. Well, it's like, there are infinite things I could pray to God about. Why should I listen to you and what you say to pray to God about and believe that's going to be informative to me in the same fashion as it apparently was informative to you? Like, do a little bit more work than that, right? Because I could make a video making equally unsupported instruction, giving people equally unexplained instructions about what to pray for and why should we listen to you and not me. At least if I were giving a sermon, a Christian sermon, it would attempt to be explanatory. So I would say, this is, through this frame of reference, the best way to interpret this. Through frame of reference X, the best way to interpret this. And then you could take exception with the justifications I provide, offer rebuttals or responses or whatever, or be convinced by them or not, you know. But if you don't provide any justifications at all for listening to you, then do you expect anybody to listen to you? Like, who's going to listen to you? The kind of person who's going to listen to you if you provide no justifications for your instructions is, I mean, I don't even know what kind of person. Is there anybody who's going to do that? I don't think anybody. Well, Hero Lamb, it seems unlikely to me that, yeah, I'll give it to you in a second, Lou. It seems unlikely to me that he would persist that long and that hard and be so absent for stretches of time as well. Just doubling, quadrupling, octupling, sextupling down on the same mistake, right? Well, that was another one of my big points, Rusmus, is understand what exactly. So the long and short of it, Lou, is DJ Arendee left a comment 2 days ago on one of my old videos in which I was talking about one of his old videos that had been mirrored by a channel called Blue Internet. Anyway, so I actually honored his request or heeded his warning or whatever and took down, I privated that video. So regardless of that, Winston's mom then linked a video earlier to the intro to his channel, which is called DJ Arendee, and I watched the video of it, and it's got a very strange metaphysics. He says that your job is to pray to God, to ask him to introduce you to the angel of death, and then to ask the angel of death about death 41. He additionally says you should continue to pray to God that you're willing to endure suffering as much as necessary until you understand. But the thing is, it's not clear what it is that you're supposed to suffer until you understand, nor is it clear at all that is suffering required for understanding. Obviously, one can reasonably infer from his video that he feels as though he's had to do a lot of suffering to understand, and that no, I agree with you, Hero Lamb. I don't approve of what Blue Internet did. I think what Blue Internet did, which is go through his old shit, save all the ones where he's being totally nutty, and then put him out there after he's deleted him from his channel. I agree that's not cool. And I also agree it probably wasn't cool of me to watch that and comment on it. It wasn't, and I shouldn't have done that, but I did. You know, I understand things differently now than I used to a little bit. So, Hebrew, blind and without hope. Greek, rebellious and without patience. Sirach 41, 9 Hebrew. When you have stumbled, figure out how to get it to come back. Eric just keeps telling you were born under a curse. It shouldn't be frozen now. It should be unfrozen, right? Hopefully it's frozen, unfrozen now. It was interesting. I should have just clicked it over here. Then it would have caused a problem. So let's look at these. Let's look at these Bible quotes about death here. It's called Sirach 41. Death 41. Death. The very thought of it is bitter to someone who is prosperous, living peacefully with his possessions, free of worries, and still able to enjoy his food. Death. Its sentence is welcome to someone living in poverty with failing health, very old, burdened with worries, blind, and without hope. Do not be afraid of death's decree. Remember that it came to those before you. The Lord has decreed it for every living creature. Who are you to object to what the Most High wishes? In the world of the dead, no one will care whether you live 10 years, 100, or 1,000. The children of sinners brought up in ungodly surroundings turn out to be hateful people. Really? Is that true? The children of sinners brought up in ungodly surroundings turn out to be hateful people. I mean, the children of abusers may turn out to be hateful people. They will lose whatever they inherit, and their own descendants will live in permanent disgrace. Why are they burdened with their parents' sins? The children will put the blame for their disgrace on their ungodly parents. Well, shouldn't they? You are doomed, you irreligious people who have abandoned the law of the Most High God. When you have children, disaster will strike them, and you will be left with nothing but sorrow. There will be great joy when you stumble, and even after your death, you will be cursed. What comes into being from nothing will return to nothing, so it will be with the godless doomed to extinction. Okay, but it's like my parents were very irreligious. My dad was an ardent atheist, and it is not the case that disaster struck his children. It's not the case that he was left with nothing but sorrow. He had a great life, you know. So, death 41. So his whole point is that Christianity resolves questions related to what happens after death. Is that his whole point? I'm talking about DJ Arendee's Metaphysics. DJ Arendee is a former typology guy who turned into a Christian YouTuber and who made a very strange video on his channel that I was trying to figure out what in the hell he's talking about. Because his thesis is that you should pray to God and ask him to introduce you to the Grim Reaper, and then ask the Grim Reaper about Death 41. What has religion got to do with science? Nothing. Has absolutely nothing to do with science. Do we have to always talk about science? There are more things in the world than just science. Would you like to talk about petri dishes and Bunsen burners? I mean, I guess it would be incorrect to call what EJR&D is doing a metaphysics, if that's what you're getting at. It's more like a magical thinking frame, but it does some of the jobs of a metaphysics. I need to get a lighter and a cigarette. the thing is, even within a magical thinking frame, right, where you acknowledge that I don't need to empirically establish this or whatever, this is faith based, it's belief in the absence of evidence or in the face of contrary evidence, not something you objectively can establish, right? Even within that frame, um, though, there should be some kind of consistency of a sort, right? Like, um, in that video, he says it goes like this: belief, religion, God, Jesus, Satan, Grim Reaper. So the Grim Reaper's above God and Jesus? Isn't that kind of like too inconsistent with Christianity to fit into your magical thinking frame? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, you know? If the Grim Reaper does exist, then I can also walk naked everywhere on this earth. Well, you can walk naked everywhere on this earth. You might get in trouble. You might freeze to death. You might die in a volcano or whatever, but there's not any place on this earth that you can't, if you try hard enough, walk naked. So I'm not sure if you're saying yes, therefore the Grim Reaper does exist, or if there's some sort of odd language colloquial translation thing here going on. Well, I'm not quoting scripture usually. I was quoting in that instance because it appears as though Winston's mom did in fact find the Death 41. You know, that must be it, because even on the page that she shared, it said like Death 41 big underneath it. But then he also said, you know what? It'd be good enough if you could just get him to explain to you Death 40. Then you'd at least have a fetal capacity to engage an archangel in conversation. No, because your condition is that you can walk naked, not that you can walk naked without consequence. Granted, after you experience that consequence, if that consequence is imprisonment, then you no longer have the liberty to walk naked in other places. But provided you have the resources and the liberty, you can at least walk any given location naked one time before somebody arrests you or whatever. No, right. Well, I agree with you, Man John, that once you've been arrested and are in jail, then your ability to walk naked in various places on the earth is severely conscribed, you know. Obviously, when you're in a jail cell, it is definitely not the case that you can walk naked anywhere on this earth. Well, a cloud in the sky is not on this earth. It's of this earth, but not on it. Religion has a lot to do with my mom's face. You know, what I had to deal with for all the time I was growing up, Muslims kept making pilgrimages to visit my mom. It's one of the lesser known pillars of Islam. You got to visit Mecca and Eric's mom. Well, I mean, if you're saying there doesn't exist a guy in a black coat with a scythe who comes around when you die and harvests your soul, I don't think really. I does anybody really believe that iconic, you know, representation of death exists in a literal sense? I don't think anybody really thinks that. But it's helpful in communicating to speak about death as though it were an agent that comes and takes you, you know. Obviously, death is the exact opposite of an agent. It's the end of agency as far as we can tell. There's not been anybody ever come back from being dead and explain to us what it's like afterwards. You might say, well, Jesus came back from the dead. Well, sure. If that's your magical thinking frame, then fine. But he didn't explain to us what it was like after you're dead. Why is it that the Grim Reaper must not exist? I don't know. Unfinished business? They left their cell phone? Yeah. Oh, God, I left my phone. I got to go back real quick. The point is, nobody has come back from the dead and then told us about what it was like being dead. So the message there is we can't possibly know anything about what happens after we're dead until after we're dead, if anything happens at all. Yeah, well, I mean, that's my point, Manny John, is that, of course, as far as we can tell, once somebody's dead, their unfinished business stays unfinished forever. But I still don't understand why it is that the Grim Reaper must not exist. I mean, we can establish that we have no reason to believe that the Grim Reaper, as a person, it depends how long they were dead for, Manny John. If they were dead for a couple of weeks, yeah, I would say they were really dead. You know, if they've undergone rigor mortis and there's been no heartbeat or breathing for a week, now, sure, you can resuscitate people. So the end of the biological processes of life does not necessarily indicate death. Life itself is always unfinished business? Well, no, there's some business that I'm finished with. So, for example, this is my third marriage. I've got 2 divorces behind me. Both of those relationships are completely finished business. I might occasionally run into either of my ex-wives because they're both involved in my daughter's life. But in every meaningful sense of the word, I have no unfinished business with either of those people. So different parts of a person's business or life are more subject to finishing than others. My knowledge of some things is complete right now. So it's true that I can learn more, but it's also true that learning more doesn't have to be my business. So it's like I've completed my understanding of simple conditional logic, syllogistic logic, rules of inference, rules of replacement. I have nothing more to learn about that. I had completed my understanding of quantification theory, but I have to brush up on it again to successfully use it in proofs and stuff. there's another thing after that in logic that I don't know at all. Is it unfinished business? Well, no, it's not my business to learn it. I don't feel like learning it. Some things you can, right? There are certain areas of study, units of study that can be completed, that are closed systems. You can complete your understanding of grammar, English grammar, for example. I don't need to learn anything more about English grammar to be able to correctly identify what every word in any given sentence is working as in terms of its part of speech. But when it comes to like songwriting, playing music and stuff, I'll never finish that business. I'll always be aiming to do a little bit better or catch lightning in a bottle or whatever. Same with like a martial art. Those things you can never master. But other kinds of things, closed system stuff, you can master. Well, Manu John, if everything that I think is complete is actually incomplete, then you've made the word complete have no meaning, right? So if I fill out some paperwork, I can complete the paperwork and then it will go through. But if I leave some sections blank, in other words, I fail to complete it, then it will be returned to me. So it's not just a matter of my perspective on whether something's complete. It's a matter of the reality that things are framed in life and that completion is a status one attains against that framing or in accordance with that framing. It's not simply arbitrary, right? Okay, well, but if I read a book on, I don't know, how to fix my toaster, and I learned how to fix my toaster, then yes, that book would have been enough for me. I will never read another book about toasters. That doesn't mean I'll never read anything, but, Manu John, it's important to remember that different things are different from one another. So
Meow.
I'm not complete in life. It continues on until I die, right? But I can complete things in life, obviously, and other things I'll never complete. If we refuse to make that distinction and pretend that the word doesn't mean anything, then we're just being silly. Right, but see, that's the point, Manu John. If you frame things as complete only when there's nothing more for you to possibly attend to in any way, shape, or form, then yeah, you never complete anything because you're not dead. You've just defined completeness as death. So if you define completeness as death, then it's true. You can never complete anything in life. But that's a silly, arbitrary, and non-informative way to define completeness. So then, Monty John, let me ask you this. If every direction is up, then what direction is this? So what you're saying is everything's incomplete, right? So then incomplete doesn't mean anything. If I say every direction is up, then up doesn't mean anything. That way's up, this way's up, that way's up, this way's up, every direction's up. So up doesn't mean anything, right? If you say everything's incomplete, then complete, incomplete don't mean anything. You have to actually have purpose when you speak words if you want to be communicatively purposeful. You know what I'm saying? Don't go chasing waterfalls. You'll get your hands wet. We've got an assembling Dan over here. Yeah. 2 plus 2 equals 5, 6, 6, 7, 4, 3 is not incomplete. It's wrong. And 2 plus 2 equals 4 isn't complete. It's correct. Right? So we use different words to mean different things. So it's like, I could say, Rachel has boobs, therefore she's tall. But tall doesn't mean somebody has boobs, right? Well, the nice thing, Manu John, is that 2 plus 2 equals 4 is tautological, which is to say 4 is defined as 2 twos. 2 twos are defined as 4. When we're dealing with conditionalities, there is no relativism that trumps everybody else's logic, right? When you're dealing with conditionality, you're saying if P and Q, therefore then R, and not R, therefore either not P or not Q. It doesn't even matter what words you put in there, right? It's valid. The validity of it, that it is valid is true. No, it can't actually, Manu John. You just don't. I mean, sure, Manu John, in the sense that I could play basketball on the court and insist that I score 3 points every time I travel with the ball. And I could keep my own score and play on my team the way I believe the rules should be. And it would still be the case that I wouldn't get any points from anybody else's perspective for traveling, right? I'd have to shoot it through the basket to get points from everybody else's perspective. And the reason that that's the case for everybody else's perspective is because it's the frame. The frame of what you're doing when you're playing basketball on a team, like say in the NBA, right? The frame says you are trying to accomplish points in accordance with this set of rules. So while it's true that anybody can arbitrarily and subjectively make claims about things like, no, I scored 100 points in this game because I traveled 100 times. Anybody that can be true for them as much as they want. But the good news is, because the frame establishes how to validate something, we only have to worry about whether it's true within the frame or not true within the frame, right? So a person who says, I score 3 points every time I travel is wrong within the frame of basketball rules. We can check against that. It's easier to understand how things are either correct or wrong. No, that's the thing about communicative logic, Manu John, is it's the same for everybody. Whatever, if P and Q, then R. Here's P and Q. R for everybody. Okay? You might choose arbitrarily to pretend as though traveling gets you 3 points, but that's just you pretending. Okay? That's not informative about reality at all. You're the one who said 2 plus 2 is not equals 4 is not complete. I never said it was complete. I said it was correct. Again, within the frame of math, which provides its own validation metric. So it's like, you can apply your line of thinking at a job. Like, go get a job at like a fast food restaurant. And then you put whatever food you feel like putting into the bag and just tell the people that that's what their order is. And just make it clear to them that, hey, they might say they ordered something different, but that's just their truth, you know? Your truth is they ordered these fish sandwiches and bowl of clam chowder. Incomplete is automatically wrong. Is it completely wrong then? Or is it incompletely wrong? No, I mean, okay, I'm done talking with you. You're like, you know, we all here are various like martial artists of sorts. You know, some of us white belts, some of us like me, ultra black belts, with thinking and stuff, right? And you're coming in here and you're like this. I could be out here with my own martial arts style and I made it up. It's like that.
That was really good.
So, you know, why am I even bothering to talk to you? I don't know. It's like, you're so bad at martial arts that even if I were to punch you in the face so many times that it broke all the bones in your face, you'd still think you were unhurt and winning the fight. Just talk about Grim Reaper, which I never said the Grim Reaper, this guy in a black thing with a scythe, is literally an entity that walks around. I never made any such claim. In fact, I said quite the opposite of that. Obviously, that's not the case. Nobody thinks that.
I like to think that they're.
There's an actual Grim Reaper.
Yeah, but it's only because for fun.
Yeah. I think you continue to engage because you have a true passion for the art. Yeah, maybe. I'm in a good mood. Because I'm not talking about my... Do you see the title of the live stream, Manu John? DJ Arendee's Odd Metaphysics. Odd religious ideas, right? Maybe I should have titled that. DJ Arendee's Odd Religious Ideas. I'm talking about his odd religious ideas. I'm not agreeing with them. I'm noting how odd they are. Do you get that? I can talk about something without advocating in favor of it. I can talk about how a lot of people believe in Sasquatch, why they believe in Sasquatch, why some people don't believe in Sasquatch, without establishing in either direction whether I believe in Sasquatch.
It's true. It's a topic of conversation.
Right. What's always of more interest to me is not whether I believe in it, but why and whether other people believe in it and how they justify those beliefs. That's much more interest to me. Just the same thing with lots and lots of things.
I think a part of being an ENTP is like being able to speak about like topics without actually having like this like passion behind it. Like you can talk about it just as a subject.
Yeah.
Like you don't have any attachment to it.
A guy goes to a rock concert. Would you say that guy is religious to rock? No. Would you? I don't understand your point. I just thought the video he made was weird, you know.
Yeah, it was.
And I wanted to talk about it because it's like I had no idea when he said talking about Death 41, I assumed he was being like, you have to die 40 times, and then on your 41st death, then you. But apparently, it's just some reference to the Bible. I don't know. I just thought it was strange.
Your all's favorite chips. Mexican people, Cheetos.
Going to a rock or pop concert is the same as going to a church.
I feel like taquitos.
Takis or
Takis. Yeah, I always associate.
they're super salty.
Yeah, and they're spicy too.
Yeah, I like all that stuff.
Now, let me ask you this, Manu John. Is going to a rock concert the same as going to a church? Is it also the same as going to a supermarket? And if so, is that sameness complete? It is. It is so. Okay.
It's just comfy.
Clothing.
Yeah. It's like reading the Bible, whatever he's wearing.
Okay, same as going to the supermarket is the same. What about going to this live stream, Manu John? Or is your coming to this live stream the same as going to church, a rock concert, or the supermarket? Supermarket, airport, hell, people staying in houses, everything's the same. I see. So, if going to the supermarket and going to a rock concert are the same, then why can't I buy pork and beans at the rock concert?
That's a good point.
Manu John, if in fact you coming here is the same as you going to church, then I'm going to need you to offer a donation in the donation plate, please. I should ask, but what if they say no? But if I have to ask, you'll note that I don't have to ask the supermarket people to have pork and beans available for me to purchase. Wouldn't that make the supermarket different from the rock concert? Because at the rock concert, I have to ask. For the supermarket, I don't. Similarly, I'm unlikely to see people dancing in the supermarket, or I'm much more likely to see people dancing at a rock concert. I'm unlikely to need to put in ear protection at a supermarket, where I'm likely to need ear protection at a rock concert. Would anybody do sex right at the church? Maybe.
I'm sure.
If Rachel and I could find us a mosque nearby, I would like for us to go have sex in that mosque as a way of honoring it.
they would allow it, but I definitely believe that there are people who have sexual preferences, and sometimes it's in public places, and also sometimes they just feel that it doesn't even have to be their thing.
I don't think you get a letter of permission from the church to have sex in the church. You'd have to be sneaky about it.
Yeah, right. That's.
I mean, Manu John, you're the one who walks everywhere on this earth naked. So what do you? It's like, when did you become such a prude all of a sudden? You walk everywhere on this earth completely naked. Well, you're correct. The church would not allow you to have sex in the church. That's one of the ways that going to church is different than going to bed. Opie and Anthony got fired because 2 of the listeners had sex in St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York
Look at
City.
that. So, yeah.
Yeah, people are pretty touchy about that stuff, I guess. I don't think God would object to me having sex in the church. Someone needs to eat more cheese. Nude beach. I like to go to nude beaches and tell people to put some clothes on.
I was loving it, Lou, too. Sexy goodness probably allow it.
I go down to the nude beach, I walk on the sand, I just start screaming, "Put some clothes on, you filthy horse!" And I have a bunch of overcoats that I try to put on to people. I'll allow you, Manu John. If you want to walk naked, I allow it. You are hereby allowed by me to walk naked wherever you want. I mean, Manu John,
Oh my gosh.
you seem to have forgotten you're the one who's saying all things are the same, not me. I will concede the following, Manu John. You have provided a good amount of entertainment here for me.
This is, yeah.
As your strange statements snowball into increasing levels of strangeness. That is an interesting belief, EII last. Where's my meow? Here it is. But they believe that if AI becomes sentient and godlike, it will punish anyone who didn't contribute to its creation. Why? It's like, even if I became a super dictator, I wouldn't punish everyone who wasn't my mom and dad. Even though they're the only ones who contributed sperm and egg to me.
I wonder how you reached that conclusion.
Well, have you asked all those 8 billion people, Manu John? Because until a second ago, you thought nobody would allow it. Turns out, the first person you introduced this notion to, me, immediately said, "I will allow it." So have you checked with those other people? And maybe if you can get more than half of them to agree to it. You don't even need all 8 billion to agree to it, right? Then you could say, "I'm allowed by the majority to do this." Perhaps, Manu John, you've got a serious letter writing campaign to begin. And, you know, there are plenty of places on Earth where there aren't other people all around, too. You could.
Maybe a little bit.
They know that you can eat whatever they want, whenever. You know,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
It does help to hear.
Yeah.
But you all have been telling us. So.
Yeah, but I forget that you probably want to make sure it's not just niceties.
Yeah. I think you've made it pretty obvious. Thank you.
Basically, I don't want to be responsible for making you something.
Right. Oh, that's great.
That's what it boils down to.
That works perfect for both of us.
What do you feel like having?
I don't know yet.
No.
You know, really what it is for me is being attentive to what Acacia wants and trying to be, make what I want. Like I was saying yesterday, I can find something I want pretty much everywhere. Also, y'all have great food here, so it's like very easy for me.
I'm glad you
Yeah.
think so, because it's funny. Cameron, for the first time ever, showed his dislike for frozen food.
Oh yeah?
And yeah, he did. He was like, "Oh, I'm so surprised. You know, Eric is such a great cook. Like, I never really would have guessed with all the frozen food you have." And I'm like, "Oh man, like, yeah." But I mean, like, I don't.
It's nice and convenient. Yeah.
It is, and the stuff we get is good.
It's delicious. Like those pizzas you made. Ooh, those are great.
Right?
Yeah.
They're good.
I want to take a photo of that and start buying those myself.
Yeah, you should.
Here's the difference, Ray Kurzweil, between biological processes and consciousness. Biological processes like digestion, lactation, photosynthesis, or mitosis don't make stupid, unsubstantiated claims like yours.
The essential thing is to recognize that consciousness is a biological process like digestion.
So it takes consciousness to be that dumb, Ray Kurzweil. Obviously, digesting food is a different kind of biological process than consciousness, which is an emergent phenomenon of biology, right? Very different. Trying to blur the line between those things is just trying to sneak towards determinism, right? Not on my watch, motherfucker. Bam, 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 Ray Kurzweil.
Luminix, it's frozen pizza. Hold on, let me get the brand.
It's Stouffer's.
It is.
Yeah, it is,
Stouffer's. Yeah.
Boy, I just really stuck it to Ray Kurzweil. I taught him a lesson.
Well, I like how Winston's mom always has a quote that is relatable to what we're talking about, but your reaction to those quotes can be different depending on what the context is.
A lack of free will, Manu John, does explain your behavior, but it does not explain mine.
I actually don't know what I meant either there.
Free will is false conditioning, huh?
No way.
But look, I get it. If I were Manu John, I'd also want to be not accountable for anything I say or do. I find that pretty critically important. This is fantastic combination of sentences here. Free will is false conditioning. You really think your vote really counts in an election? What does that have to do with free will? Elections have nothing to do with free will at all. Yeah, well, Jeremiah Fix, the proper way to do the fallacy that you just attempted to demonstrate is it's not possible to prove UFOs don't exist, therefore they do. That's called an appeal to ignorance fallacy. And
Have you eaten?
Yeah, I had some pizza.
Nice.
ever since I began retaining my semen, I don't need to eat anymore.
Right.
Okay. Because some other person is changing it or what? Who is this person anyway? I've got to visit this person's channel at this point. What is going on here? Are they like, how old is this person? Yes. Enjoy walls.
I mean, that is pretty funny.
Fantastic. You get a wonder point for enjoy walls. You know, Manager John, I would not have anticipated that you earn a wonder point, and it is Wednesday, so you actually have 2 wonder points now.
Oh my gosh, Luminix, that is crazy. Wasn't there a politician recently who lost by 1 vote because he didn't vote for himself? And I heard that somewhere. That is bananas. That, just because you didn't vote for yourself, oh man, I'd be kicking myself.
Okay, look, guys. If you don't think he deserved wonder points, you've got to watch this short. He definitely deserved it, okay? He definitely deserved it. Because
Get a wonder point for
if it was just a video, I'd be like, okay, well, you know, that's kind of weird. I don't know what that is. But with the comment and the like, which he clearly gave himself, the comment, enjoy walls, that just makes it all come together.
Yeah, that definitely counts as a wonder point.
And since it's Wednesday, wonder point values are doubled.
Oh my god, that's true. Wow.
I will share the link to this short. I'm gonna like it as well. It earned a like from me as well. So and I will put the link to it. I want you to know, Manager John, I did enjoy walls. Thank you.
For some reason, I subscribed to you too.
There you go. How long has the channel been in existence for? Let me see. It doesn't even have an about. Oh, yeah, more about right there.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
October
wow.
15th, 2009.
You were like on top of YouTube, like.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
He does have 5 videos.
Oh, he's got more uploads. He apparently went to what looks like a cricket match between Hyderabad and Gujarat.
Mm.
Let's see what he thinks is great, cool music. Taylor Swift Anti-Hero Roosevelt Remix. Don't know that song. Kaiser Snap, Let's Go Somewhere. I want to see what this is. 21 Pilots is represented here. Doja Cat on the list. Bunny X. Forrester, Harry Styles.
Remixes.
Remixes, huh? What does this sound like? Okay. It sounds boring. That's what it sounds like. Because you're unusual, let's say. Enough to make me curious about you. See what kind of music you listen to, whatever. This is a link to the article about the aforementioned politicians. Did that really happen? A local politician lost his election by 1 vote after he decided not to vote for himself.
Wow.
Well, the other guy had a better wife. The other guy's wife encouraged him to vote for himself, so he did vote for himself. Whereas the other guy who lost, his wife didn't encourage him to vote for himself.
Oh,
All right.
I forgot to play.
So, let's go outside and smoke a cigarette. Am I almost out of cigarettes, or do I have another pack
Oh
somewhere?
my gosh.
I think there might be another pack in the car. Let me go look. Or there might be another pack someplace. If there's not another pack anywhere, then it's time to go for a cigarette run. This other pack only has one in it. There was another pack, but it only has one cigarette in it.
She just said, tell Eric he can share my cigs.
What kind of cigarettes does she smoke?
27s, Marlboro, I think
I could try one.
they're good.
Try one and see. But I did find another pack of cigarettes, but it too only had one cigarette in it. There may be a third pack of cigarettes somewhere that also has only one cigarette in it. But
I'm loving these cards. So like a lot of them have different like looks than the traditional
Yeah.
Rider-Waite tarot, and that makes me interpret these cards differently, which I like.
I can see that.
Well, I live here in Mariposa with my wife. Holiday season all around, lots of blinking lights. We have some visitors from out of town. One of them came from a long ways away. Yes, indeed, I did not doubt what I should go there, right there. What chord is that? G. I should have got the G. Well, it's called failure. Because I failed at least 100 times more than I succeed. Because I fail when I try, I have learned not to cry. I have seen it's good enough just to sigh. Oh, I know I can suck. I guess it's just bad luck. Lack of talent or whatever sucks. Lack of follow-through or come up and do. It's hard to say what's true today about whether I am any good. Failure is a constant companion, just like a old basketball player. Red Banyan or Bannon didn't work out very well after his UCL, a career. Old man walking your dog. You drive your little orange car. Old man walking your dog. You drive your little orange car because presumably you can't walk very well anymore. If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing I need to determine is the ratio of time that it takes to put time in a bottle plus the time that you make with the time in the bottle. Is it interest compounded annually or something else? Something else. And if I determined I could profitably put inside that bottle time to use for later, would it really be wise of me to save time for when I'm 83? Or would it be much better to spend it now? That's why I decided ultimately not to save any time. Then we found a bottle in the system that works alright. It only gives me a bonus, so it's 0.01%, and that's not much, you know. So why bother? I just have a little more minutes of super old age to endure. My song calls If I Could Save Time in a Bottle. There's another song with the same name, but they're totally unrelated. I didn't even know about that song. Oh, Eric. Everybody knows. Everybody thinks. Everybody acts. And everybody stinks. Everybody knows. And everybody interfaces. And everybody thinks and feels alive. But if you and Chive, did I get his name right? His name's Chive, right? Okay, yeah. Chive. If you want to ride along, you'll listen to my advice. My advice is that you drive carefully. Gotta watch out for Chive. You don't want Chive to get injured. I don't, anyway. Come from New York City. Come from New York City. And down to Florida. I come from old Chicago to California way. But I never left the place I love, 'cause I was out of dough. And I'm 1/2 step from Utah, and 2 miles from Mexico. So when you ask me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I got to tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. I'll be home by the end of the week. And I got to tell you, darling, things are looking mighty bleak. Well, I'm a couple of pair of underwear away from Tennessee, driving west to see my best girl, Linda Lee. Well, I'm driving fast and I'm drinking beer, radio's on the Judd. And I'm 1/2 step from heaven and 2 miles out of the mud. So when you tell me, darling, do I have a trucker's woes? Well, I got to tell you, baby, from my head down to my toes. I'd better drive all night to be home by the end of the week. And I gotta tell you, darling, things are looking mighty bleak. on fleek. Things are looking on fleek. Beautiful chord, beautiful chord. Sing along with the beautiful chord. Listen to its beautiful, beautiful sound. I don't know what chord that was. There's a beautiful chord. Well, anyway, I know this isn't a very good live stream, but sometimes I just feel like fucking around. While on YouTube. Occasionally I just fuck around by myself too. I'm not like trouble. I don't always need you to watch me eat. On the room, rich lady who's crying over Tree's disappointments, and she walks over and he's trying to empathize. Fidel Castro's brother spies a rich lady who's crying over luxury's disappointments, so he walks over and he's trying to sympathize with her, but he thinks that he should warn her that the third world is just around the corner. In the Soviet Union, a scientist is blinded by the resumption of nuclear testing, and he is reminded that Dr. Robert Oppenheimer's optimism fell. The first hurdle. In the cheese pavilion, and the only noise I hear is the sound of someone stacking chairs and mopping up spilled beer, and basking in that, and basking in the light of the 15 vein-filled minutes defending matter. I've become a pretty okay guitarist in my old age. Thing is, I rarely play guitar without singing. Sought the woodland, sought the peace, sought everything that I need. Found a wife and moved out of LA. Brought my car, brought my cats, brought my pants, and I brought my hat. I brought my sense of purpose as well. But looks like hell. Hell. I like the discipline. Perhaps you ever do well. Turns out autonomy may be too much for me, but I know anyhow we'll all have fun. My father died, gunshot, suicide. Not a lot left for the old man to enjoy. Mother died by her side, nursing and all kinds of white, filling her with morphine and the like. And in time to go, that is when you got to know. Begin again and start somewhere else. You spent too much time on the shelf and you got to see what there is you might do with all this biz. Yet unclear, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, that's the story of me. Well, that's the story of me. I can make up random shit. Wonderful. Just what I need. Just what I need. Seems like a lot of years ago I used to finger pick much more so than I do now. And I've come to lost the skill that once I had plenty of. Perhaps it's because I forgot how to do this. I do not know if time passes while you're immersed in your gases of indecision. That's why I don't finger pick much anymore. It's harder to sing over, I guess. I get in some lazy habits. Not that anybody cares. Just listen to Eric muse about nothing. Sometimes it's just what you gotta do on a given day. You just gotta muse about nothing. Today I'll muse about nothing. Today I'll muse about nothing. Tomorrow I will also muse about nothing. Perhaps the following day as well. Eric, you're so silly. Have I ever told you that? You are a silly boy. Eric is a silly boy. Eric is a silly boy. Yes, he is a silly boy. He's making silly songs, but he wants you to sing along. But nobody could possibly know the words because he's making silly songs right up all as he goes along. And that is why you cannot join him because you could not know the words. He doesn't even know the words either, and that's okay with him. If we want to sing along with this very silly song, then you'll have to listen later and sing along with it. Then you can listen in and hear how it goes. There. That was perfect. Looks like I am on a roll. The last song was perfect, so this one is doubly impressive because it perfectly surpasses perfection that previously I attacked in my previously perfect effort then. Another perfect song. Wow, amazing. Eric, how do you attain such perfection all the time? Well, that's something I call being God's friend. First there comes belief, then there comes religion, then comes God and Jesus, Satan, and the Grim Reaper. First there is belief, then there is religion, then there is God, then Jesus with them, then there is Satan and the Grim Reaper. Stand at the top of the class, reaping everybody's dead ass, putting up with none of your ghost ass, 'cause he's grim as is appropriate, given that he is killing men. He is the top of the theological food chain. He's the angel of death. And with his sight, he will take from you your last breath. Death 41. It took a long time to come. I was stuck on 33 for quite a while, and it seemed like 34 took a number of miles, but now I'm coming up on death 41. Make a left up here, my son, 'cause I think we're gonna see us, the Grim Reaper. When I see what is reaping so grim, that's when I will ask him then, can you tell me about Death 41? The song's called Death 41. Death 40, Death 41, 40 and 41. Those are two very important deaths. If you want to know which is best, I can't say. Maybe I was partially inclined towards death number 6 or 7. But death 40 and 41, well, that's when you know you're done, and the Grim Reaper will take you to heaven. Hello, St. Peter. Your gates are so pearly. Can you check your book and see if how and good we made it into heaven. I can say St. Peter's that seeing you I feel reassured. Yeah, perhaps I'd be greeting the devil. Instead your pearly gates are the ones I hoped would await them. Now I stand before you, ready to be judged. You get a B minus in life, Eric, that's alright. I'm St. Peter, so you can trust what I say. Yeah, you let a B minus life. I mean a B minus wide way around the way you were wrong. Summertime anyway, well occasionally, perhaps rarely, still B minus life. You get a B minus for your life. I'm gonna write it on you with this red pen. St. Peter, you gave me a B minus for my life. I like that idea for lyrics for a song about seeing St. Peter and him giving you a B minus for your life. B minus life is a good song title.
You sounded good.
Thanks. I sounded like a man who was really not caring for his audience at all. Well, what I need to do is start a crypto coin called WonderPoint.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great. Can you get them yourself?
Well, yes, I'd be able to get them myself. They'd be NFTs. They'd be identical. They'd be fungible NFTs functionally, which is ridiculous to say because NFT stands for non-fungible, tradable, or token. WonderPoint would be a great blockchain token. You could and they could be awarded after a certain announcing date indicating that Wonder Points will begin being NFTs after this point, and this is how you qualify for them so that it's made fair, and try to get yourself listed on Coinbase. But the thing is, how would they be? How would they enter into the digital landscape exactly? I don't understand blockchain technology well enough. I just know that it's a chain made out of blocks. Okay, what day is it? It's Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing anything?
We haven't talked about it, so No.
Would you like to do anything in particular?
We could. I don't have anything in particular in mind.
The Enlightenment Fraud of Zen Master Rama? Maybe he was like Dr. Lionel Sprinting Wolf Catherquo, just trying to solve everyone's problems, but getting demonized for his good efforts. Maybe, but probably not. Master Rama. Zen Master Rama. Let's see what it says here. He founded what he termed American Buddhism, which incorporated the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, Zen, Vedanta, mysticism, and New Age ideas. Linz's teachings centered around enlightenment in the modern world through the integration of Eastern religious principles into everyday life. Some of his former students accused him of cult-like activity, including financial and sexual exploitation of his students.
Oh my god.
And then he died of apparent suicide in 1998. Well, I gotta say that's not very enlightened.
It's not very enlightened.
You have the best toilet I've ever used down here.
Isn't it fantastic?
Well, yeah, and the noisemaker is far and away the best noisemaker I've ever used too. The little fan.
The fan.
Yeah, it's great.
That's not the purpose of a fan. It's not to cover up your sound.
For me, it is.
It's just to waft away your smells.
Well, you know what I do is I flush right as the poop hits the water.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I've been so lucky, like.
But you're right about that toilet. It's all
Yeah,
kinds
it
kick ass,
really
right?
is.
It'll suck poop out your butt.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We have not one time had to plunge any of the toilets in this house since we moved here. Not a single time.
Lucky. Yeah. We used to have problems with that at the Arcadia house. Like, you know, you just have one day where it's a lot. And oh my god, fuck. When it got flooded, and then, like, I thought I was plunging it, but then I actually made it worse and it would leak out. Oh my god, that happened like 3 times.
Like over the top?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then all over the bathroom floor, and oh my god. Oh.
I've been there a couple times. The shame was so great.
It is, and I couldn't tell. I didn't want to tell anyone. Like yeah, the shame was. I couldn't tell anyone, so I dealt with it all myself. So I would like throw anything that had the water on it into the wash. Yeah, but like I would overload it, and like Eric's dad would be like, "What's going?" Like to him, he never said it, but in his facial expression, you could see like, what is going on here?
T.E. Polar must have been so foreign to him.
Yeah, it was.
Because this guy was also the producer for the rock band Zazen, which produced 31 albums in 13 years.
Oh my god, that's a lot of albums.
I've been trying to find that song you played the other day I really liked. I forget what it was. Enchilada or something like that.
Oh, you mean, it's Japanese soybean. Edamame.
Oh, edamame.
Yeah.
Yes.
He defended having sex with students as a perfectly acceptable habit, saying it was justified by the teachings of Tantric Buddhism. What an interesting and horrible first person.
Ruben, are those big, giant, comfy black lounge chairs as cozy as they look?
Oh, yes. Of course.
They're good for sitting.
Right. Do they
Yep, they come.
they recline?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Right here.
All right. Oh yeah, listen, Mom. Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, he did it all for the
He
nookie.
did do it all for the nookie.
Here, Lamb, you get a wonder point for that. It counts as 2 because it is Wednesday. Whenever anybody's guru-ness involves... Okay, so just a little bit of an addendum, ladies, here. So all the spiritual stuff I've been saying to you, I get to hump you.
They say that's a big part of a cult.
That's when you know the whole thing is he did it all for the nookie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think C.S. Joseph is getting close to saying things like, okay, all of you ladies should sleep with me.
Oh my god.
Yes. Do you have any? Sorry. Do you have any fixes for like hiccups? Like, you know, they say.
I rarely get hiccups.
I see. Have a spoonful of sugar, or one I like. I don't know if it works, but my experience says it does. Try to hiccup, and then you won't hiccup anymore.
Interesting.
So I'm like,
Yeah, like,
Mm.
I rarely, knock on wood, get hiccups. But when I do get into a fit, I understand why it like bothers people so much when they have it.
oh yeah.
I should have a zucchini at my ass.
Oh yeah.
Always
What was
good.
that for you?
It both gets rid of and prevents hiccups.
Oh, look at that! Oh, that's your hiccup thing. I thought.
That's why I'm not. That's why I don't have the hiccups right now.
He's got a zucchini.
For fuck's sake! I don't want to do any more stupid shit. Hello? Hi. Fine. Okay. Yeah, I'll look at it real see if you sent it. But the thing is, I have, it's like, this is not a good week for me because I have guests in town and, If you're asking if he shared it by a Google Docs, is it Stanford essays? Would you say it was?
No, she did. She called the day of the night, even though she knew we were having a party.
He hasn't shared anything with me. The last thing that's been shared with me was Stanford essays December 3rd and then Chloe's thing on December 11th.
But there's no and either. There's no general like, oh.
Understanding of what might be happening.
Yes.
It's like they don't know unless you tell them explicitly.
Okay, sure. All right, bye. All right, bye.
Sometimes it's not fully because
I'm just really using Ruben and Acacia as an excuse.
I'm glad, man.
It's like I just using you as an excuse because I don't feel like doing that right now.
I mean, also, you're not going to feel like doing it, especially when you have guests there. It's partially true.
Yeah, well, I mean that is true in that regard. I feel like it less, but I don't feel like it would be. I'd be remiss in my host duties to do this thing.
That's true. It doesn't take.
It's more like I don't want to do this because it's more fun than usual around here these days than it is. I can't do this because I have guests here. You know.
Right.
But I didn't say I wouldn't do it. I said I'd talk about it, but he hasn't even sent it to me yet. Neither her son ENTP nor her employee ENTP want to do the thing that she wants them to do. But we both benefit from listening to her because she's our benefactor.
You want to 27? You get it from the car?
I will after I'm done with my cigarettes. Thank you, but I have one left here. So what was happening before the phone rang? I don't know. I don't remember what I was talking about. It was very, very important, but I still don't remember. I've got 2 empty cigarettes. Oh, this one has a cigarette left in it. Wow, this cigarette's lasting longer than I thought. Let me see if I have my glasses anywhere so I can read this thing. Of course I do. Of course I left them inside. Okay. It's fair to say that it's time to redo my glasses fob. Well, our internet's not that great here. We are waiting for the phone company to say, yes, you can now have fiber internet. They've brought the lines here. They've connected it to our house. They've done everything that they need to do except for the final set it up inside part, right? But they say we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet to give you for your neighborhood to get fiber. So we're stuck with DSL, and with Ruben on the internet, Acacia on the internet, Rachel on the internet, and me live streaming, we're having a bit of a bandwidth squeeze, you know. It's not that we need donations to fix it. We just need the phone company to say, okay, we're ready to give you fast internet now. Because we live out here in the woods. We have the best option we can get, but it's just not that good. But like I said, they've done all the legwork necessary to give us fiber. See, one of these boxes here, I mean, they came and they replaced all these things and told me explicitly they were setting it up for fiber. Yeah, it's just the Wi-Fi. When I have bandwidth issues, then it pixelates it, makes it look shitty, etc. to save bandwidth. I do have, in addition to the cigarette that I'm smoking and one other cigarette, I also have this ashtray full of butts. Thank you for the $1 Servant King. I greatly appreciate it. You're a gentleman, a scholar, and a reader of fine literature. Now, what I need to do, maybe I should consult with the Grim Reaper about how to tie my glasses to my glasses fob. You're reading Lolita, it slaps. Really? I don't think I've ever read it. Not sure that book would fly today, let alone make the literary canon. But I've not read it, so I don't know for sure what to think about it. What am I looking for now? I'm looking for some strength. Will you find any string in there? I might find some string. Here's a little string here. Here's a little string here. Here's a little string right here. I found this string inside of this bag. It is a string, but it's not long enough. It's not a long enough string. Let me try a different approach. Let me try a different approach. Okay. So I've got this bag of lanyardy things, right? So I think what I'll do is this. I'll tie this onto this. Alright, fine. Let me just tie this onto this. Like now. Okay. I'll tie this onto this like now. Oh, that's why you can't see me, because it's turned the wrong way. Tie this on like this. Now, I will then where's my other thing? There it is. Okay. I'll tie this onto this. Like so. Then I will connect this to this as per meow. It's a little bit cumbersome. Bye, Servant King. God bless and rock and roll. Now, I just let them fall down like that, no problem. I just have to put up with all these metal things. That's fine. Oh, there you are. I found that. King Charles III technically owns all the dolphins in UK waters. Really? Good for him. I wonder what he's going to do with them all.
And then just like
Bring it in the stream now.
laying down for a long time for 11 days, and he comes back out of it and he's fine, back to work.